Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers as Academy Bangalore. This is the daily news analysis. Today we'll discuss some important articles as usual from UPSC prelims, mains and interview perspective. So the first article for 10th September 2025 is about the election of Chairperson Radhakrishnan as Vice President of India. So recently the election to Vice President of India were conducted and the candidate from NDA, that is CP Radhakrishnan, has won the election and this is the electoral outcome. So full electoral college was 543 from Lok Sabha and 245 from Rajya Sabha, overall making it 788. The present strength of the electoral college is 781. The number of ballots cast was 752, which are valid, and 15 invalid. So the first preferential vote secured were 452 for CP Radhakrishnan and 300 for B. Sudarshan Reddy. We discussed about B. Sudarshan Reddy, who is a ex Supreme Court judge, and this is CP Radhakrishnan from Tamil Nadu. So he has secured the victory from the NDA government. So he is now the Vice President of India. So key highlights is after the cross voting evidence, NDA strength was 439, secured 52 votes, that is plus 3 from their own strength, and opposition expected 324 but secured 300 only, meaning 24 less votes from their own party. Indicates cross voting by the opposition members, undermining opposition unity. Okay, so the CP like Sudarshan Reddy, he did everything possible. He appealed to opposition MPs, he appealed to everyone, he appealed to even NDA MPs to vote him. But what happened? It happened in a reverse way. It backfired on him, or backfired on opposition itself, because the opposition leaders voted for NDA government candidate. So it undermines the unity in opposition parties. What are the implications for NDA? It reinforces the dominance in parliament. Cross voting suggests wider acceptance of NDA leadership among the non-allied MPs as well. Strengthens BJP's ideological claim of nationalism as unifying factor. And for opposition, despite the unity under India bloc, the alliance shortfall in votes highlights certain cracks. And moral high ground claimed, but loss exposes lack of discipline and cohesion. For Indian politics, Vice President as the chairperson of Rajya Sabha, so his handling will shape legislative debates and opposition in the coming years, sets the stage for 2026 Rajya Sabha elections and political alignments ahead of 2029 general elections. Next, Vice President of India is a constitutional body. It is a constitutional body under Article 63 to 71 of Indian Constitution. Position, it is the second highest constitutional body or constitutional office in India after President of India. The election is elected by electoral college of both houses of parliament, both elected as well as nominated, and voting is done by proportional representation by single transferable vote. Eligibility, citizen of India, 35 years or above, same thing for president also, and qualified to be elected as a Rajya Sabha member. In case of president is Lok Sabha member. Tenure is 5 years, eligible for re-election, and the functions are he acts as ex-officio chairman of Rajya Sabha as well, but there is no such position for president. Presides over the upper house, maintains order, ensures legislative functioning. Acting president discharges functions of president in case of death, resignation, or removal until a new president is elected. Represents India in official ceremonies and fosters parliamentary discourse. So significance of the vice president's position is it ensures checks and balances with parliament in parliamentary democracy. Crucial in safeguarding opposition's voice in Rajya Sabha. Role combines political neutrality with constitutional responsibility. Okay, and the second article is about Nepal, which is on the news, on the social media, everywhere in the mainstream. That is the recent Gen Z revolution because of the social media ban ended up toppling the government itself. Now the Prime Minister PM Oli resigned from the office, and also many of the ministers of parliament or ministers of Nepal parliament or cabinet were beaten with stick. Where in an unfortunate event, I think a finance minister was burnt in his home only. So there is a death of minister. So what turned out to be a protest against social media ban resulted in toppling of the government and also resulted in violent clashes, which resulted in 19 to 25 people being dead from the Gen Z or the students, along with ministers dying from the government side. So we'll discuss what happened. I am also bringing a video completely separately on this new Nepal video, sorry, Nepal crisis. But here we'll discuss from the perspective of newspapers. The trigger was the Oli government's ban on social media platforms in September 2025, cited misinformation and national security. Youth anger, that is Gen Z, that is digital natives, saw this as an attack on the freedom of expression. So they decided to take up protest. Underlying issue was the deep corruption and the lavish lifestyles of the politicians' families were being exposed in the social media. As a result, the government decided to ban social media. They cited, we are banning it because of misinformation, not because of corruption or lavish lifestyle. But instead, what they were doing was they were curtailing the freedom of expression of the Gen Z. Rising youth unemployment and lack of development, and nepotism and political stagnation since Nepal's 2006 democratic transition. So, escalation of protest. On the day one, the protest turned violent. Police fired, killed 19 young people, sparked the nationwide outrage. This was the major issue. After the social media ban, when the people started protesting, the government ordered use of bullets, but they actually ordered the use of rubber bullets. But instead, what happened in the heat of the moment, the real bullets are fired, which ultimately led to death of 19 young people. Day 2 was, despite the curfew, protests intensified. Parliament, Supreme Court, Singha Darbar, that is the government headquarters, were set on fire. Residents of former PMs Oli, Dioba, Dahal targeted and were burnt as well. And media houses like Kantipur publications attacked. Along with this, there was very unfortunate news that a finance minister or some other minister from Nepal was burnt in his home only. So that is very unfortunate event. And the central slogan was, Nepal's political class lives lavishly at the expense of our parents' tax money. That was the major slogan. So political fallout. First, it was the Prime Minister KP Oli resigned, submitted letter to President Ramchandra Podal, and Home Minister Ramesh Lakkar resigned on moral grounds, and Parliament paralyzed, political leadership discredited. And emerging figures out of this revolution is Balendra Shah, who is a Kathmandu mayor, who was independent, sympathetic to protest, possible interim leader role. And Rabi Lamichane, who is the RSP leader, who was in jail, who was recently released from jail. So populist outsider could ally with Shah. So what is it showing? The stipulation is, or speculation is, that there is a rise of outsider politics challenging the mainstream parties or challenging the nepotism of Nepal's ruling parties. Next, what was the response of army and the state? Army Chief General Ashok Raj Sigdal said that appealed for restraint, urged protesters to engage in dialogue rather than violence. So now the army is going to take control of law and order, raising concerns about future military role in politics. Next, India's position. Prime Minister called this a heart-wrenching incidences that are happening in Nepal, and appealed in Nepal for peace and unity. And the Ministry of External Affairs stressed on neutrality, avoided taking any sides, and cautious due to sensitivity of Nepal's politics. Issued travel advisory for Indians in Nepal. This is the right move on India's side. We all know what happened when there was a similar situation in Bangladesh. When there was a similar situation in Bangladesh, they wanted Sheikh Hasina to be executed. But Sheikh Hasina fled to India, and India unintentionally took the side of the ruling parties, or unintentionally took the side of the government. They provided asylum to Sheikh Hasina. As a result, Bangladesh now hates India, and the relation between Bangladesh and India are strained to negative extent. Next, India's concern is about stability of the key neighbor, because whenever there is instability or crisis in any neighborhood countries, the spillover effect is seen in India. So India wants to avoid this spillover effect. Preventing anti-Indian narratives, that is what happened in Maldives, what happened in Bangladesh, what happened in Pakistan. So India doesn't want this anti-Indian narrative in Nepal. Avoiding perception of interference in Nepal's internal politics. So what are the structural issues behind this crisis? Democratic fatigue, that is, since 2006, Nepal has seen frequent government changes, unstable coalitions, failure of the federal institutions, that is corruption, slow development and poor governance. And then the youth alienation, that is the larger youth population, that is the Gen Z. Who are the Gen Z? The people who are born between 1997 and 2012. So who are at the age of 28 to 13, okay, or 30 to 28. Anti-institutional sentiment, that is, unlike Jana Andolan events or movements of 1990-2006, previous revolution in Nepal, current protests are leaderless, nihilist. Who are the nihilist? Nihilist is a group in the like ancient Russia, not ancient, like Russia in the 1990s, early 1990s. The nihilist is they want everything to be zero. They do not want any government, they do not want anyone to lead them, they want everything to be brought down to zero. So those are the nihilists and anti-system. So regional and comparative context, similar thing happened. Were seen in first Bangladesh, student-led protest toppled the Sheikh Hasina but led to instability. And in Sri Lanka, Aragalya ended Rajapaksa dominance but produced populist outsiders, that is JOP race, and Nepal parallel, risk of authoritarian regression or either outsider populism. Hopefully, let us hope that it turns out to be another Sri Lanka where there is outsider dominance and instead of instability. You can also compare this with what is happening in Indonesia as well. There also the Gen Z or the youth are taking up arms against the government. So we can see the youth we are taking up arms who are raising their voice against the governments more often than not in these days because of the rampant social media. And what is the implication for Nepal? Political vacuum, the caretaker PM, burnt institutions, fragmented parties will take a lot of time to like uh, reconstruct, and then danger of anti-system capture, that is pro-monarchy nostalgia and outsider populism could destabilize the democracy. Could destabilize the democracy they fought hardly from 2006. Next, role of army. Its stance may decide if Nepal stabilizes democratically or slips into authoritarian control. So, depending on what Nepal does, the army's role will be changing. Implications for India and South Asia. India Nepal relations. India's careful neutrality avoids alienating any side. Instability may affect broader border management, trade, and security. Regional pattern, it adds to a cycle of youth led uprising in South Asia, governance failure, corruption backlash, and erosion of democratic institutions. The China factor is the instability may invade Beijing's opportunistic moves in Kathmandu. We can see increased influence of China. So India should move forward with the care that India should avoid being seen as a third party, avoid being seen as a court intrigue, but also avoid allowing China to move into the Kathmandu. So way forward should be there should be inclusive dialogue between political parties, protesters, civil society, and the army. Reforms in governance, focus on anti-corruption measures, youth parliament or youth employment, accountability, and international role is India, United Nations, and SAARC neighbors to encourage peaceful transition and avoid interference. And balancing protest and institutions. That is, need to transform anger into constructive democratic reform rather than institutional destruction. A very important moment in Nepal's history. Next is an editorial from the Hindu, which talks about the long march ahead of technological independence. What is the context? India celebrated its 79th Independence Day in 2025, but the true Independence Day today extends beyond politics but to technological sovereignty. So the modern wars, economies, and the governance are increasingly driven by cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and semiconductor ecosystem. So the author discusses what is the sovereignty of India in these important deep techs. Key issues: the technological dependence of India on other countries. That is, India lacks its own operating system, its own database, and foundational software. Reliance on few global corporations, mostly from one country, poses a strategic vulnerability. Example, recent stoppage of cloud services affected Indian companies. So, the technological sovereignty is paramount in the coming years. And software sovereignty, open source models offer a path. India can build a secure version of Linux, Android databases, and cloud servers. Instead of depending on other countries or other softwares, we can develop our own source models, our own software sovereignty. Challenge is the long-term maintenance, support, and the larger use base in India makes it very difficult to develop. Requires collective effort of India's IT community beyond the government dependence only. Next, with respect to hardware sovereignty, that is bigger challenges: semiconductor fabs, chip design, assembly, and supply chain. We are lacking in these aspects. So it demands large scale and long term investment. The investment should be large scale and it should be a long term or futuristic in nature. Strategies: start with specific hardware components, and international partnerships, and need for social tech movement. That is, open source movement has weakened globally, but revival is essential. So requires a business model that is self-supporting and not purely government funded. Involves industry, academic collaboration, strong development teams, and sustained updates. So what should be the way forward? India should establish national mission for technological independence, focus on development and execution and not just research and development, build client side, that is emails, database and calendars, and the server side, that is web, cloud servers, components, etc. from the Indian side should be built indigenously. Encourage self-sustaining economic model with user-supported open source software. Government's role is enabler, regulator, funder, but autonomy must be community-driven. So, only when we achieve sovereignty in technology, we can claim India as truly independent. That is what the author is trying to say here. Next, another editorial is about Indian academia in the times of genocide. So, it talks about the difference between academia in India, within India, with respect to genocides. So, a group of 500 scientists and academics, including Surat Raju, petitioned the International Olympiad on Astronomy and Astrophysics against Israel's participation with the national flag, citing its action in Gaza. So, there is International Olympiad on Astronomy and Astrophysics, okay, which is going to be held in the coming days, where different scientists from different countries are going to participate. So the scientist delegation from India and the academics wrote to this IOEA saying that you should not allow Israel to come to this Olympiad with their flag, because they are currently involved in actions in Gaza. They are currently conducting or taking up a genocide in Gaza. Then the IOEA board approved the proposal. Israel did not participate this year, but the rule will apply from 2026. So controversy in India. The Israel embassy reacted sharply. 300 Indian academics, including the IIT directors, VCs, urged the PMO, that is PMO, to act against the signatories. Then the petitioners clarified that the decision was by International Organization for Astrophysics, IOA's international board, and not them. The incident sparked debate on the role of Indian academics in global justice issues. So initially they signed this IOA. As a result, it led to criticism from Israel. We all know the significance of India and Israel relations, how important Israel is for India. So it directly or not indirectly, directly hampered the relationship between India and Israel. So as a result, Indian government under the PMO criticized this move, and as a result, it demanded a strict action against all the senators, that 500 plus senators for IOA. Next, these people who signed for IOA, they are saying that we did not sign from our side. It is actually the decision of IOA's international board and not us. First, what is Gaza crisis? Since 2023, more than 63,000 people have been killed, 83% civilians as per the Israel military data, and 90% schools, 94% of hospitals have been destroyed or damaged. Lancet of 2024 reported that indirect deaths due to famine and collapse of services could triple down direct casualties. Nearly 10% of Gaza's population erased. UN famine declaration termed it as a man-made disaster. The famine in Gaza is a man-made disaster. Even former Israel security chiefs and hostage families urged ending the war. Israeli ministers openly said that government was rushing towards Gaza being wiped out. What is it? Being wiped out. It is nothing but genocide. Historical roots. Nakba, where 750,000 Palestinians displaced. Deir Essin massacre documented by Einstein and Jewish leaders in an NYT letter. Denouncing Menachem Begin, okay, the later Israeli PM, founder of Likud. Current policy is seen as continuation of dehumanization of Palestinians. Next, Indian academics dilemma. That is, some Indian academics support or stay silent on Israel's actions. Others support India's anti-colonial traditions by speaking against injustice. Debate reflects broader struggles over academic freedom, communal harmony, and democratic rights. So there are many things to balance here. The dilemma here is whether to think of India and Israel relations or whether to be free, whether to think of it from the humanitarian background. If they think of this as a humanitarian background, obviously they're going to criticize Israel. But if they think of from the national interest, then they should keep quiet. So that is the issue that Indian academia is going through. Key message is science and cultural events cannot be isolated from global injustices. Academics have a moral duty to raise voice against genocide and align with democratic humanitarian values. Okay, again, very important and interesting article editorial. Next, let us move to prelim pointers. The first prelim pointer for the day is about a tribe which is called as Tiwa tribe and Langkun festival. So, this was in the first page of the Hindu, the image that the Tiwa tribe is celebrating the Langkun festival. What is this? The Tiwas are also called as Lalungs, are a scheduled tribe of Assam and Meghalaya. They are concentrated in Assam's Karbi Anglong, Morigaon, Nagaon districts and parts of Meghalaya. The language of Tiwa tribe belongs to Tibeto-Burman language family. The what is Langkun festival? It is celebrated mainly in Umsowai village in Karbi Anglong district. Purpose is a forced harvest and a fertility festival. Community prays for good crops and prosperity. Involves traditional songs, dances, and rituals by Tiwa tribesmen. The cultural significance strengthens communal solidarity, preserves indigenous agricultural traditions, and reflects tribal symbiosis with nature. So, this is a post harvest festival, and these are tribes which are living in Assam and Meghalaya. Next, Unified Real Estate Act portal, that is RERA portal, Unified Real Estate or Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. Under this, there has been a portal which was established, that is RERA portal. So, what is this? RERA 2016 was enacted to regulate real estate sector, addresses project delays, and protect home buyers' interests. Earlier, each state or union territory had its own RERA portal, leading to fragmented information and limited transparency. Now, this portal has been launched, that is RERA portal. It is launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So, on the occasion of 5th meeting of the Central Advisory Council in New Delhi, the portal is rera.mohua.government.in. Okay, you can go through this and you can search the RERA portal. Objective is create a national centralized database of real estate projects, enhance transparency, accountability, and consumer confidence, enable AI-driven monitoring of delayed or stalled projects, promote best practices across states and union territories. The key features are centralized access, view project details nationwide in one portal, transparency, access to approvals, timelines, project status, and developer history, and standardization, that is uniform format for data, enabling cross-state comparison of projects. Then AI-enabled monitoring predicts or flags potentially delayed or risky projects, and grievance redressal. Buyers can file or track complaints online, and developer compliance is simplified, standardized reporting for real estate firms. So it streamlines the real estate process. Next, and the final article is about Apatane tribe of Arunachal Pradesh. Who are this Apatane tribe of Arunachal Pradesh? They are the tribe which are found in Arunachal Pradesh and especially the Zero Valley. These are the indigenous people or community of the Zero Valley in Arunachal Pradesh or Zairo Valley, also called as Tanwa or Apatani. Language is Tani, which is from Tibeto-Burman family, which is similar to Tiwa tribe, and religion is traditional worship of sun and moon. Okay, traditional worship of sun and moon, that is also called as Dani polo faith, and cultural practices, festivals, Dri, prayers for bumper harvest and prosperity, celebrates friendship and bonding, Yapung and Murung, community rituals and prosperity. Facial tattoos and nose plugs, that is, you can see here, facial tattoos and nose plugs. Women traditionally wore tattoos, that is tippe, or wore wooden nose plugs called as apping hullo. Practice started to protect women from abduction by the rival tribes. Next, banned in 1970s, now seen only in the older women. Okay, it is banned in 1970s as there is a tutorial series in younger women from Apatani tribe. And the agriculture and livelihood, integrated rice fish farming, very important, practiced since 1960s in terrace fields. Fish sold alongside rice, sustainable and eco-friendly. And UNESCO recognized Zero Valley for its unique agro ecosystem. Grow traditional rice varieties, that is Emio, Pape, and Mepia. Okay, and significance is they are known for sustainable mountain farming, strong community institutions, and distinctive cultural identity. And they are part of India's intangible cultural heritage. And Zairawari, which is an Apatane plateau, is on the UNESCO World Heritage tentative list. We have to wait and see will it be accepted to compare like original list or not. So these are the articles which I want to discuss with you today. Very important articles. I think I have covered in a holistic way. So if you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.